What up, Screen Fiends? I'm GB, and you're tuned in to Headz TV, where we like to discuss all the most wonderful things appearing on your movie and your TV screens. So in this episode, we're going to talk about The Walking Dead and all the chatter that's been going around about the toned down violence that is happening right now. So, okay, first off, I'd like to say I commend The Walking Dead for even playing out Glenn and Abraham's death the way they did. For this to even be an issue, they could have took the scaredy cat route from the beginning and not had it be as brutal as it should have been to have the impact on the story that it did. If we didn't see it as brutal, then we wouldn't have felt it as much. So I commend them for doing that. That being said, they usually are pretty ballsy, at least since Scott Gimple came on, as far as the violence goes. And I feel like the more power Greg Nicotero gets in his say-so, it also gets bloodier and more violent, which is a good thing to me. Not because violence and gore is good, but because in this story, in this setting, it's necessary to display how brutal this world has become and how brutal human nature can be. It's necessary for the story. So, all that being said, I'm disappointed that they caved to whoever it is that they caved, probably AMC, feeling like, they're getting shit from sponsors or audience members or whatever. They caved. Okay. Fine, they caved. Nothing we can do about that, right? But there is a silver lining in this, I believe. I think Scott Gimple, as long as he stays showrunner, and Greg Nicotero, as long as he stays at the position that he's in, which is, I feel, pretty high up on the totem pole, as long as they stay there, I feel, yes, they will tone down the violence for the rest of this season, and believe it or not, next season we'll get toned down violence in a way. Let me explain. Next season, we all know, spoilers I guess, if you don't read the comics or don't watch YouTube or aren't on the internet or whatever, next season is going to be all out war. I believe they're going to drag it out and they're going to make it work. I shouldn't say drag it out. They're going to flesh it out for it to last the whole season. That's why we have so many communities getting involved and more players. And I think that's where they're going with it. Now, those of you who do read the comics, not really spoilers here, what's coming doesn't really have much bloody, gory, disgusting, brutal violence. It has tons of violence and tons of action, but it's shoot 'em up violence, explosions, the occasional melee weapon, arrows. That's what's gonna be taking place in the next season. So they can totally tone it down and make it not hyper gory. And that's what they're worried about, the gore. They're not so worried about the violence. Because, come on, nobody ever complains about the gun violence and stuff on these types of shows. It's the brutal beatings and the way the walkers are killed at times that's become under scrutiny just because of the Season 7 premiere. So, I think we're okay. Because then, after 2 seasons of toned down violence, right? 7 and 8, I believe that they'll be able to say, you know what? The show is coming to an end anyway. We got a hardcore fan base. We appeased the powers that be. We'll bring it back to the brutal for the last couple of seasons, 9, 10, 11, 12, whatever. They're going to start to slowly bring it back to that brutality that we know and love. I'm sure of it. So we'll only have to deal with it 2 seasons, maybe 2.5 seasons. And it's not so bad because the story that we're going to get is not, like I said, centered around that brutal, gory violence. It's bang, bang, shoot 'em up type of violence, which is much easier to handle watching. Yeah, so like I said, I commend Walking Dead for doing what they did with the premiere. I loved it. I thought it was one of the best episodes ever. The performances were absolutely amazing. You know, I know they don't give Oscars for this stuff. I think I might have said this before. But Andrew Lincoln deserves some sort of award just for that episode. All his performances are great. Everybody on the cast. But in that episode, he was amazing. So was Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Absolutely amazing in that first episode. I'm loving it. Expect it to be somewhat on the slow end for the rest of the season. And definitely expect the brutality to still be toned down. I know it's going to suck. But they're going to do everything they can to let us know about the brutality. I'm sure in this next episode we'll get to somewhat see Fat Joey's bloodied up body. We got to, if you pay attention, you got to see the Walker head was separated from the body in the junkyard scene. So I think Nicotero and Gimple want to give it to us, but they feel like their hands are tied. But don't worry. It's going to work out. I see a silver lining. If you feel what I'm saying, definitely comment below. You like the video, show me some love. You know the deal. And, yep, that's it. I'd love to hear your opinions and thoughts on it as well. So, I'll see you guys next time. Have a good day.